friends. Here we are. This is Harvest of Light, or Ceifa de Luz, by Emmanuel, the spirit author, through Chico Xavier, a book that was beautifully psychographed in 1972 and published in 1979 by the Brazilian Spiritist Federation. And we have been working on this for 20 days, yes, since the beginning of August. And today we are in chapter 19 because we started from the preface of the book. You know, this book is like a coach for us because it's leading us into new movements of the soul, new opportunities to grow above the current limitations. Have you thought about this? How often we limit ourselves? Sometimes we look at ourselves in the mirror and we say, this is who we are. That's it. Well, but for God, there is no limit. You're much more. And God wants more. More from you. Much more. If you limit yourself, if you don't believe in the new in you, in some way and form, we're creating obstacles for the plans of God for us, right? So you may be asking, how do I make myself unlimited? Well, you don't need to do it because you're already unlimited. You're already open. You just need to give yourself an opportunity to experience the blossoming of that new in you, okay? And this book gives us that opportunity because where there is light, there's no darkness. Where there is light, there's truth. Where there's light, there is love. So then we have everything. So when we pray for light, like Emmanuel does in this book, in the preface, he is asking us to do the same and saying, when you absorb the light, you shed it throughout yourself and then you discover the new. Just let go of the old to let in the new. And you know, there's a song that rhymes. I let go of the old, I let in the new. I let go of the old, I let in the new. You think God didn't invent funny and fun? Of course, we didn't create it. So let the fun begin, right, friends? I see wonderful friends joining us. Welcome, welcome, dear souls. And this is chapter 19. Shall we read it? Ready? Super ready. In the uplifting of peace. So we're talking about boosting peace. What is peace, huh? So then Emmanuel quotes from Matthew 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Wow. Emmanuel then explains, indeed, we need the artisan of intelligence who are able to guide the progress of sciences on the planet. We need, however, and perhaps still more, the workers of the good who are capable of securing peace in the world. Not only of those who ensure the collective balance at the top of the nations, but of those who dedicate themselves to the cultivation of peace in their daily lives. Those who know how to listen to serious matters, replacing the sour ingredients with the balm of fraternal understanding. Those who perceive the existence of the error and are prepared to heal it without extending it with their destructive criticism. Those who see problems trying to solve them in silence without disturbing the mood of others. Those who gather distressed confidences without passing them on. Those who identify the conflicts of others, helping them without bitter references. Those who excuse offenses, throwing them into oblivion. Those who speak words of consolation and hope, building fortitude and tranquility wherever they are. Those who extinguish the fire of rebellion or cruelty with examples of tolerance. Those who succor the defeated existence without accusing the so-called victors. Those who work without creating difficulties for their fellow being on the way. Those who serve without complaining. Those who take on their shoulders all the workload they can bear in supporting the good of all, without demanding the cooperation of others, so that the good of all prevails. Peace in the heart and peace in the way. Blessed are the peacemakers, said Jesus to us, since they all act in life, recognizing themselves as the faithful and valiant children of God. Aha! Now we got it, right? Why did Jesus say? So the whole message is an explanation about the verse. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Some people scratch their heads like, what does that mean? Like, if I am a peacemaker, I'll be called children of God? Does that mean that I'm not a child of God? No. No. Emmanuel is saying, when you and I understand, reason, use our discernment to create peace, co-create peace in the conditions that he is saying, we then are naturally, he says, recognizing ourselves as children of God. So it's not about somebody else labeling anybody. It's about we feeling that we're children of God. Have you ever felt honored by receiving something from somebody that is very reputable, famous, and you're like, oh my gosh, I feel somewhat honored that I received this from somebody who is so considered to be so important. I know that at the end of the day, everybody's important, but we're just saying, in the mainstream society, huh? Now imagine everything that you receive every day from the supreme love and intelligence of the universe. Those who are ahead feel so honored, so faithful, so blessed that they feel like being ever more compliant to the laws of God. And in that lies the peacemaking skills. So today it's a lesson on peacemaking skills. Right? Right, so Souza, Eliza, how are you? John the Rosa, how are you? Lisa Teles, Anna from Alabama, Doroteia, how are you? Wagner Júnior, Irma, how are you? Hipólito, Lívia Moraes. I'm just giving you guys a break so you think about what we're saying, huh? Emmanuel said, Teresa Castro, how are you? Elsa, Dulce Story, Patrícia, Hargo, how are you? Rihanna, how are you? Valéria Benfica, big hug to you. Celia Lancaster. So friends, did I give you some form of break? Yes? So let's go back. He's entitled this chapter, How We Can Uplift Peace. How can we boost peace? And he says, in our daily lives. That's the answer. Beautiful, Anna from Alabama. Beautiful. So he says, we need people who are knowledgeable, but we need workers of the good. And that's, we need more. Many people excuse themselves. They don't feel that they are essential. But you are. So today I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to ask you, the mentors are asking us to do an exercise in the next 24 hours. Let us practice to observe how essential we are in our daily engagements. Shall we? Because often we put ourselves aside. We're quiet, we don't think we're important, we don't contribute as much as we should. But I remember once taking Raul Teixeira and also Divaldo Franco many times to the airport to do their check-in. And it's very interesting because they don't pass by anybody feeling unimportant. I'm not talking about vanity. I'm talking about feeling that they should be useful to that person. So I saw their attitude before the people at the check-in desk. How do you behave when you are before people at the check-in desk? Usually some people are arrogant, other people are afraid or neutral. But I saw Divaldo and Raul Teixeira. They look at these people in the eye, the check-in people. They look at them in the eye, they read the tag, and in spite of the language barrier, they smile, they interact, they look at the person as if they are seeing their souls. Because they know that there is no minute to spare on earth where God is not asking us to do something useful. And of course, Divaldo and Raul have 10,000 stories regarding these encounters with people in the most ordinary circumstances, turning them into extraordinary. And the secret is not to dismiss yourself as somebody who is essential. We're not asking ourselves to put our nose in people's lives. No. Sometimes it's not about words, but emanating good thoughts, good feelings. Sometimes it's all about, sometimes we call the customer service and we say, thank you so much. You were so helpful. You really made my day, or you made my day much easier by being so efficient. Sometimes wrapping up a conversation on the phone with somebody at customer service, instead of just saying, thank you, okay, bye, we can say, thank you. And you know what? Or when we call them, we call and they say, please say your name, a number, blah, blah, blah. I say, excuse me, who am I speaking with? Oh, let's say they say Mary. Hi, Mary, how are you? And often they are caught up in surprise. They say, oh, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. There you go. It's already a way to create peace, because I know people who call customer service and they engage in fights. They create enemies. And it's not needed. We don't need more enemies. No wonder Jesus said, make friends. make friends. Thanks to Facebook, here we are. So God bless the people on Facebook, because they really fulfilled, though they are not necessarily Christians, but they are fulfilling the universal principle. Yes, the law of society. Are you making new friends? Some people, they brag about themselves saying, we love to teamwork, we love to teamwork. But do you teamwork with everyone or just with the same tribe? Are you expanding your team working skills? Because sometimes we feel like in a family, for example, oh, I'm a family person, I'm a family person, I'm a family person. And people are so proud of themselves, I'm a family person. And they are unable to expand their love to other people, creating the spiritual family. The same happens at work. Sometimes we're in the same work, the same job for many years. We create that network and we don't open space for the new. Sometimes in spiritist organizations we're like this. We're used to that group of people and we think, oh, we're so good at teamwork, we're so proud of it. And we forget that everybody in the world who is a spiritist is supposed to be embraced in your teamwork. But they're not going to come to you. If you're good at it, you need to come yourself to them, like we were asked to do in the first International Spiritist Youth Weekend. We open ourselves to the whole world. We teamworked with people whom we've never worked before, from several different centers of different age groups. And that's what the spirits are advising us to do, to be more open-minded. And that's peacemaking skill. Because when we are sectarian, people talk about President Trump, but sometimes we're way worse. Because we are spiritists, and instead of opening our hearts to the new and embracing others, we keep ourselves too tribal. My tribe is the best versus everybody else, or this and that and the other. We need to be careful. It happens in families as well. We need to make friends. Friends. How good it is to be friends, right, Daisy? To expand our family. We are in actuality supposed to be one universal family that cares for one another. And that's what peacemaking is all about. So let us revisit what he says. That we need workers of the good who are capable of securing peace in the world. And you may be asking how. And they say, by cultivating peace daily. So he gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 scenarios. Scenario number 1. When we cultivate peace by listening to serious, grave matters and bringing fraternal understanding. What is it? It's when somebody comes and says, oh, like children, somebody said they're not my best friend. And bad parents are going to tell their children, tell them you don't care. That's bad parenting. Good parenting, it's okay. People don't know sometimes what they're doing. They just say it. Don't worry about it. Keep being a good friend. Who says that? Hello, Amanda Andrade. Hello, Julija. Next scenario. Those who perceive the existence of mistakes and are prepared to heal it without destructive criticism. Sometimes people mess up pretty bad. what do? We need to protect ourselves, but we are not going to be casting stones. Shoo, go away, you're bad, you're witch, you're this, you're that, and the other. Because that's often what people do. And if you recall, in the transactional analysis, we talk about having this inner child, the adult, and the parenting figure inside of us. When the parenting figure is not doing well, we like to be judgmental and to be super critical. And we like to gossip, badmouth people to make us feel better. But that doesn't work. So he says, what should we do? We should heal it. We know somebody did something wrong. Well, we turn it to Jesus, huh? That's a good strategy. What did Jesus do with Judas? Did he go desperate? No. He's our guide and model, right? You agree? So anytime we don't know what to do, look at Jesus. Did he go desperate? No. Did he go in? No. Did he think it was his fault that Judas didn't understand him? No. What did he do? He let God take care of Judas. It's between God and Judas. And then, when Judas discarnated, committed suicide, when Jesus was freer from the body, he was rescuing Judas. And that's how the healing began. Same for us. Those who see problems, trying to solve them in silence without disturbing the mood of others. Some people, they have a problem and instead of solving, they Facebook it. I don't know how to change the filter of my house. And then everybody stops. Like, Google it, for God's sake. I'm just joking. But Google it, huh? Try to ask in a prayer what to do next. And then, if there is no solution, ask for guidance on where to find the best help. But then creating a commotion so the whole world. I'll give an example. There are politicians who are in jail. And instead of them correcting themselves and thinking whether they are right or wrong, that they need to do what they need to do, they create a national commotion. It shows their character. Because when we are peacemakers, we don't ask for a country to stop because of us. We don't ask for a country to protect us. Because when we really care for the country, we protect the country. When we care for our family, we don't bring our problems to the whole family, making the whole family go crazy. I apologize if it's coming too harsh, friends, but I'm trying to bring some examples on what Emmanuel is saying. Try to solve them in silence, like Nelson Mandela or Gandhi. They didn't create a commotion in the whole country. Oh, I'm such a victim. Poor me. So much injustice. They kept themselves there. And look what happened next. They became peacemakers. Those politicians who are in jail and are creating a commotion, they are not good. They are not peacemakers. They can no longer be leaders because they are leading us to chaos. Okay? I'm just giving examples. And same happens in families, at work, etc. I remember once I was working in my first years in the United States, and for some reason there was an economical crisis, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, this crisis, and everybody was asking one another, what's going to happen to us? Do you know, Vanessa, what's going to happen to you next year? And I said, my friend, I don't know. I prefer to keep working, trusting that we'll find a solution. But what if, I said, what if we'll be notified? What can I do now? Going desperate, I'm not going to work well. And that's going to compromise my performance. I prefer to pray and trust. So that's something for us to think about. The making the difference. Bringing silence where people are creating chaos. Those who gather distrust confidences without passing them on. Sometimes people come and tell us the worst. Sometimes in a fraternal counseling they say stuff. We cannot reproduce it to others unless it's something that is criminal and is putting lives in danger, which is not the case. Those who identify the conflicts of others are peacemakers because they help them without bitter references. It's when we get to know of problems between people and we don't incite into greater struggles for them. We actually pacify. Those who excuse offenses with throwing them into oblivion. That's something to learn. When we know that God wants us to forgive and forget because we've done things in the past. Sometimes people ask me, but Vanessa, didn't that person do this? And you're now talking to that person? I said, you know, who doesn't make a mistake and goes wrong? The person is correcting themselves. Why am I not going to give them a chance? I would like to be given a chance. Right? Dulce is saying, I don't think is hushed at all. Ah, okay. We must spread the wise words so we can act upon when the time requires. I agree. Thank you, Dulce. Thank you. Those who speak words of consolation and hope, like Dulce is doing now, building fortitude and tranquility wherever they go, telling about the good things in the world. Make a list. Life is good, and that's not the la la land of life. It's not about being Pollyanna. It's about knowing that we progress, and that we evolve, that we are never stagnated forever. Everything passes, and there is always a new day. Why aren't we going to be joyful? What is the excuse? Oh, because it's hard. Let's bring consolation, hope, tranquility. Peacemakers are those who extinguish the fire of rebellion or cruelty with examples of tolerance. That's the most needed thing nowadays. Tolerance. We are living a very intolerant time. People, they quickly snap at one another. They quickly create dissensions. Why? Why? Everybody's a child of God. So he's saying, being a peacemaker, it's like we get to the fire extinguisher. Shh. Somebody comes in, but that person did this and that and the other. Okay, I agree with you. That person's not easy, but let's breathe in and out, okay? Okay. Hold on. Shh. the fire extinguisher. Shh. And if you don't have one, call the firefighters from the spiritual realm. Yes, help, help. And the firefighters come. And they come. Look at Andre Louis' books. Beautiful books. They come. And they say, easy, huh? Easy. The world's not gonna end. Hey, hey, hey. Don't go desperate. In the book, bam, 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 The Gospel According to Spiritism, Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is all about afflictions, which is the longest chapter in this book. And I'm opening the very page where, okay, it says here to us about the need of, okay, items 12 and 13 of chapter 5, which is about blessed are the afflicted. Okay, so if God allows us to go through this, they say, what is important for us? Calm and resignation, acquired in the manner of looking at earth life and in the faith in the future, gives the spirit serenity that is the best preservative against insanity and suicide. Calm and resignation. So it's when we stay calm. That's the fire extinguisher. Breathe in and out. It's okay. Everything shall pass. God's gonna show me the way. And Silvio Otero is saying, but families sometimes get angry at you for not agreeing with negative comments. I agree, Silvia. So true. And you know, Silvia, you're more experienced than I. And you know that when people do that, what can we do? We let them think what they think and feel what they feel. But we also have the right to think what we think and feel what we feel, and say what we say and do what we do. So, if I love and approve of myself, time and again, they are teaching us to love and approve of ourselves. Right? Right, Sylvia, you know it. Patricia is asking, can you repeat the biggest prevention again? Sure. So, let me repeat the passage, okay? The Gospel According to Spiritism, Chapter 5, Blessed are the Afflicted, items 14 to 17. And they say, calm and resignation. Calmness, to stay calm, and resign, meaning to surrender to it. Surrender doesn't mean we're going to allow people to abuse us. I'll give an example that comes to my mind right now. Joseph of the Egypt. He was sold as a slave to the Egyptians. And at first he couldn't understand it and got upset. But later he said, God knows better than I. When he surrendered, that's when a guard called him to decipher the dream of the Pharaoh. And that's when he got himself out of that prison. So we need calm and resignation, calmness and resignation, surrender, to know that there is no reason to despair. I know we will feel it, but then we decrease the length of our desperation. If we still go despair, we can decrease the time we feel it, right? Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Patricia. It's good to be with you because as you're making comments and asking questions. It's helping all of us reinforce these teachings that are so important to us, right? Okay, so extinguish the fire of rebellion and cruelty. Those who succor the defeated existence without accusing the so-called victors. Some people, they go through tough times and they're like, they feel envy, they feel jealousy, and they are not peacemakers. Because they're like, how come I work so hard and I don't have a good car? How come I do all this and blah, blah, blah? And look at that person, look at my neighbor, look at that friend. They don't work as hard and look at what they have. Then we're not being peacemakers. Because that vibration is hurting the economy of the vibration of the planet. Envy is so destructive. If you read the latest issue of the Spiritist magazine, which we released yesterday, which is a special issue regarding the Spiritist Youth Weekend and much more, you can read it free of charge. It's in our website, spiritistmagazine.com. You will see an article about envy by Divaldo Franco. Envy. Envy is so destructive that Emmanuel, through Chico Xavier, wrote his books, the novels, 2,000 years ago, 50 years later, Hail Christ, Renunciation, to show to us how destructive envy and jealousy are in our lives. It can destroy families. So when we feel envious, we're not being peacemakers. People experience what they need to experience. And we can't go through our difficulties feeling less than others. Because if you're going through that experience, it means that you are going through a test. And past that test, there's graduation. So focus on your test. Instead of being a student that hates the test and envies those that are not being examined, we appreciate the test because that's a sign that we're going to move to a new phase. Right, Patricia? Finally, he says, peacemakers are those who work without creating difficulties for their fellow being on the way. Ay, ay, ay. Am I creating difficulties for others now? Ay, ay, ay. That's why I need to take responsibility, right? Because be responsible and say, well, I made this choice and I'll take the consequences. I never forget when I was still living with my parents as a teenager. I was 14. And then my father said, remember, anything you do, you're free to choose. But the consequences are inevitable. You take the consequences of whatever you do in your life. And they raised me with that feeling, oh my God, if I do X, I need to take responsibility. And I see many people nowadays who victimize themselves, and that's the worst that they can do. Because when they feel like victims, they are not empowering themselves. But that person did this to me, but they did that to me, but I was so good. No, no, no. You say, I attracted it because maybe God wanted me to help this person, but they didn't want to receive the help, so we had to. We couldn't be friends anymore. That's okay. But you're not a victim. Oh, but they deceived me. But they didn't do this to me. But they did that to me. I agree. Sometimes it's so hard. Unbearable. But then we raise ourselves above it and we say, you know, if God allowed me to go through this experience, It is because God trusts in me. And I can begin anew, reinvent myself. God, teach me the way. And then comes the spirit architects. And they're like, okay, you want to remodel? They love remodeling. And they come and say, you want to remodel yourself? We're here. How do you want to see yourself? Oh, that fast? Yes, we're ready. Let's design yourself. Are you ready to design yourself? Oh, I didn't think about it quickly because they're just next to you. They're beside you. They want you to create a list. Oh, you know those programs of HDTV. And they say, how do you want your house? Oh, I want this. I want that. Oh my gosh, I can choose anything, anything. In our case, there's no budget. You know why? Because for God, anything is possible. So, I want to be more patient. Check. They are going to design us, huh? I want to be calmer. Check. I'm designing. They're designing us. I would like to have relationships that are more fulfilling. Check. They have a program. They're going to make this multidimensional project and say, you want to help us make this happen? They invite us. They will be with us. And with a group of good spirits, we will reinvent ourselves. Isn't life fascinating? Good teachers love good students. Good spirits love to work with people who humble themselves to their counsels and who allow them to help themselves. So, here we go, friends. Peacemaking. Those who serve without complaining. Sometimes we help others and we're like, oh gosh, you see, I do all this, look what they do. So there is a hidden agenda there. So get rid of the hidden agenda and say, any and everything that I have is God. Shall we do this? Any and everything that I give is God's. And I just let it flow through me. Any and everything that I give is God's. And I let it go and flow through me. Any and everything that I give comes from God. And I let it flow through me. It's going to be easier. We will not complain. Because we're just allowing God's flow of love to go through us. And God doesn't complain, doesn't demand. Right, Adilson, he said it's amazing when his TJ, Angelina, and I were studying tonight, the verse by Matthew 5:9. We are searching for more material to prepare for the studies tomorrow night at Yes, and here you're expanding the view, understand. You see, not coincidence, we are a family, Adilson. We are a family working together in two realms. So thank you for sharing this, Adilson. Emmanuel in this book, Harvest of Light, is really unbelievable. And he finally wraps up by saying, peacemakers are those who take on their shoulders all the workload they can bear in supporting the good of all, without demanding the cooperation of others, so that the good of all prevails. So, isn't that amazing? That's why he left it for last. Because often we want to do the good, but we're like, come on, everybody, if nobody does it, I won't do it. And I remember, and I'll give you a true account, some friends of the SSV Center are here watching, and they may be witnesses of this. A week ago in our mediumistic meeting, the spirit guides asked us to do our summer cleaning of the center. We do it every 2 weeks or more often, but they asked us to do a deeper cleaning. And when we finished the meeting, I was so tired. our friends were like, yes, let's plan it. When are we going to have enough people to do this? So we said, well, maybe in September we'll do it, beginning of September. Yeah. And then I talked to Mentor Joseph. He said, you know, at least this Saturday, Vanessa, you go there and you do it. And then my friend John the Rose, he was not at this meeting at that time. He didn't know. He next day texted me and said, you know, I have certain equipments for the chair. What about if I come on Saturday during the mindful cleaning so we can do this? I said, great, at least John the Rose and I are going to do it. So I told Carlos, maybe you stay with Virginia, John and I are going to clean the center. And then Mentor Joseph said, well, ask people on Wednesday at the public meeting if they want to join you. So then we asked the whole public. On Saturday, we had more than 10 people. What am I saying to you? Because sometimes we need to go for the walk, but then you know we're never going to be short in help. There are people who carry one bag and they're like little children. They're so funny, right, Sunshine? They're so funny. They carry one little thing. It's so heavy. Sometimes we as adults, we carry these workloads as if we were children. Oh my gosh, it's so hard. And then we forget that we're never alone, that the good spirits have already prepared, and we're just instruments. So that's when Emmanuel wraps up this by saying, blessed are the peacemakers, said Jesus to us, because they will act in life recognizing themselves as faithful and valiant children of God. So, do you feel yourself as a faithful and valiant child of God? You see, now we changed the song. It's not only, I am a child of God, I am a faithful child of God, I'm also valiant, and thus I do the good. Right? Exactly. And Julie just saying, you know when it said you have to marry to be able to read a book in spiritual realm, is it the same with the lessons on different topics? We have to be ready to hear it. Is that because we have more potency in spirit to make thoughts into words and then in deeds than here on earth? Exactly. Kardec, Julija, he explains to us that our interests as a spirit are different. Here, because of the illusions of material life, we don't pay as much attention to the immortal goals. That's why we're asked tonight by the spirit mentors to apply these teachings in our lives, feeling ourselves as faithful and valiant children of God. So find yourself in any and every circumstance in the next 24 hours, feeling yourself as essential. God is counting on you in the next 24 hours to be His instrument, His faithful and valiant child of God. Shall we? What an invitation, right, friends? And tomorrow, when we come back, if it's not enough, Emmanuel knows that talking about peace is not very easy. So, as a good teacher, what does a good teacher do? Repeat the lesson. So that's why tomorrow, chapter 20, we're going to talk about prescriptions of peace. You see, Emmanuel knows it's not second nature yet, so we need more. And he's going to give us more. He's going to tell us, quoting from Matthew 6:34, thus, do not unsettle yourselves due to tomorrow, because tomorrow will be taken care by itself. Right? Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Eliza. Thank you, friends. And you are essential, a faithful, valiant child of God. A kiss and a hug. And until tomorrow, God willing.